Atlus's fanbase has grown massively thanks to the huge success that is Persona 5. After beating Persona 5, I wanted to play more of what Atlus made, so at the start of the year I ordered a PS2 and Persona 3 and 4, which are on Amazon by the way. Once everything came, I decided to start with Persona 3, and once I'd beat that, I'd move on to Persona 4. Little did I know that it would take me over 6 months to beat Persona 3, but let me tell you why I think you should play Persona 3. For this review, I'll be reviewing Persona 3 FES. Unlike Persona 4 Golden and Persona 5 Royal, Persona 3 FES isn't too different from the original game. The main thing FES adds is an epilogue to the main game called The Answer. To make things easier though, I will only be reviewing the main game, which is called The Journey. Sometime in 2004, Atlus began work on their first ever 3D Persona game. For the next 2 years, there wasn't much shared until 2006 when they finally released some details and the game's launch date in Japan, which was July 13th. Character designer Kazuma Kaneko talked about how designing characters for this game was really hard since he didn't want to disappoint fans who've been supporting the series thus far. This is why you see a lot of mech-like personas, something which the series hasn't really had before. They wanted to go with a blue-styled interface in order to make the game stick out when it was marketed, which actually led to the color correlation we see in both Persona 4 and Persona 5. This game was a huge leap from Persona 2 due to the brand new feature called Social Links, which if you've played a Persona game, you know is a main gameplay aspect of the franchise now. In Persona 3, you play as the unnamed protagonist, whose canon name is Makoto Yuki. You're a new transfer student at Gekkoukan High, and while on your way back to your new dormitory, the clock strikes midnight and you notice something's wrong. There's a hidden 25th hour of every day, which is simply referred to as the Dark Hour. During this dark hour, most people are turned into coffins and sleep for an hour so they never even realize it happens. Also during this dark hour is when shadows come out. These are monsters that try to find people to eat. However, some people don't turn into coffins when the clock strikes midnight. Coincidentally, that also includes you. Most people who are not affected by the Dark Hour have a special power. They can summon personas to fight back against the shadows by shooting themselves in the head with a fake gun called an evoker.
Persona.
Thou art I, and I am thou. From the sea of thy soul I come. I am Orpheus, master of strings.
As we suspected.
Turns out the people who live in your dorm are all Persona users and we're looking to recruit you. They're a group called SEAS. That stands for the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, and their goal is to eliminate the Dark Hour. Similar to Persona 5, this game is split up into 2 sections, your normal life and the Dark Hour. During your normal life, you live an average teenager life. You can form friendships by forming social links with them, you can level up your stats by studying, singing, and you can even go dancing. Okay, maybe that last one wasn't real, but still. My point is, there's a lot to do during this time. There aren't too many places to visit, but I never found myself really wanting more. You can visit a shrine where you can donate and pray, you can visit both train stations that have many shops, and you can go to the mall where you have your most important shops and level up some of your stats. And obviously you can go to school in your dorm. Along with the activities you do at these locations are also your social links you can level up. A social link is basically a measurable way to show how close you are with someone. While some social links in this game weren't bad, I felt most were pretty disappointing. It was hard for me to care about most of these social links, but I can appreciate that the developers were trying to make each one really unique. I found the best social links to be your party members because they already have some established connection with you. While these aren't bad, I think there are some that I wouldn't recommend. For instance, I think a heavily debated social link is about a young girl named Mako. Her whole social link is about her parents having a divorce and how she doesn't know how to deal with it. Typically for social links, you are introduced to a character, learn a problem they're having, and help them overcome that challenge. The problem is, you have to encourage them to worsen the problem in order to progress with Mako. Mako talks about how she wants to run away from home to see if her parents still care about her. To gain points with her, you need to encourage her to run away. And she actually does it. Her whole social link just feels really weird. However, a social link that wasn't a party member that I really liked was Maya's social link. When you move into the dorm, one of your friends gives you a game called Innocent Sin Online, which is also a really cool reference to Persona 2. Turns out the servers are barren and it's just you and another person that goes by the username Maya. I don't want to spoil too much about this social link since it's actually a good one, but basically, the more you talk to her, the more you realize she may be someone you actually know. The second half of this game takes place during the Dark Hour. While in the Dark Hour, you explore Tartarus. Tartarus is a big tower that replaces your school during this mysterious time. Each floor is randomly generated, and throughout the game you have to dungeon crawl your way through the 6 blocks of Tartarus, or over 250 levels. If you've played Persona 5, think of it as Mementos if it had multiple songs. Tartarus is also where all the combat of Persona 3 takes place. Unlike in Persona 4 and 5, you can't actually control your teammates. The closest thing is a menu that tells your teammates generally what to do, but it really isn't amazing. While in combat, you have multiple ways to hit your opponent: physical and magic. There are 3 types of physical attacks: pierce, slash, and strike. Depending on what weapon you use, chooses which attack you do. Early game, I liked using the one-handed sword for the faster combat, while it did slash damage, but later I found myself using the bow for more range, which does pierce. Alongside the physical attacks are your magic attacks. You have your basic fire, ice, electricity, and wind, but then you also have your insta-kill moves, which are light and dark moves. Unlike in Persona 5, where you just beat on the enemy until they die, you actually need a ton of strategy in Persona 3. Most bosses require specific personas to beat, so I found myself looking up a lot of strategy guides in order to beat them. There's a really useful website that shows you all Persona fusions that I'll leave in the description below if you want. Unfortunately, I found myself having to grind a bit towards the end of the game, and you'll most likely have to as well. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this game will beat your spirits into the ground over and over again, but if you manage to persevere through all the dumb stuff, I think it's well worth it. Now, I don't think I could talk about any Persona game without mentioning its soundtrack, and ooh boy, does Persona 3 have a good one. While it is significantly more weeby than Persona 5's soundtrack, I think there's still some good tunes in there. The music was once again composed by the wonderful Shogi Meguro. Here are some of my favorite songs, and if you want to skip this section, fast forward to the timestamp you see on the screen now.
You're the only one world, one love, but the battle goes on, shadows all mass destruction.
Oh yeah. I still live. I will. I must run away from it. Ooh, that,儚くたゆたう世界を君の手で守ったから今はただ翼をたた
Now's the part where we talk about spin-offs, and say it with me, Atlas loves spin-offs. So there are 3 main releases of the game: Persona 3, Persona 3 FES, and Persona 3 Portable. Persona 3 and FES are pretty much the same game, and I don't see any reason to play 3 over FES. However, Persona 3 Portable is quite different. Due to the limitations of the PSP, they had to make the game closer to a visual novel. There is no 3D world exploration. Instead, you just click on where to go. I would say this is a downgrade, which it is, but a new addition to Persona 3 Portable that isn't in either of the versions is the option to play as a female, which completely changes most social links. Instead of having a romance options for all the females, now you have a romance options for all the guys instead. Personally, I would recommend playing FES due to the quality of life changes it adds over P3, and that Persona 3 Portable is a pretty big downgrade for only a gender swap and some new confidants. Maybe after beating FES you can go play Persona 3 Portable just to see the differences. Other than those, Persona 3 only has one main spin-off game, which is a dancing game really similar to Persona 5 Dancing, since they were both co-developed at the same time. It is really nice seeing the characters in HD, and the songs are actually good in this one. Along with those games, Persona 3 and Persona 4 share these spin-off games, but I won't get into those for now. While Persona 3 doesn't have the best gameplay ever, I would say it has an amazing story that keeps the game interesting. If you really want to experience the story but you don't want to play the game, there's a 4-part anime movie series that covers the entire game. I haven't watched it, so I can't say if it's good or not, but I've heard some good things about it, so that's always an option. To sum things up, I think Persona 3 is an amazing game that is held back by its poorly aged gameplay. While I didn't love every social link in Persona 3, I do think it has a lot of well-written characters that you will end up caring about. If you want a tough game with an amazing story, then I say this is the game for you, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you're a more casual gamer, I'd say give this game a chance. Try to get through the first 15 hours and see how you like it. If it's still too hard for you, then maybe just go watch the anime instead. I think if this game got a remake that fixed a ton of its issues I have with the gameplay, I think it would be better than Persona 5, and who knows. Atlus seems to be more lenient with their Persona IP, so only the future will tell. If you do end up picking up Persona 3, let me know in the comments below if you ever need help, and I'll do my best to help you out. If you like this video, please leave a like as it really helps me make more of these longer style reviewed videos. Thanks for watching.